The problem is solved by sending soldiers. Where have you ever seen soldiers solving a problem? Soldiers don't solve a problem. The leadership must meet and discuss and come up with a binding decision.
He is Julius Malema, one of the most controversial African politicians. He is from South Africa and a member of South African Parliament. He has a political coalition called the Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF. One of the questions that this man is asking is this: what is American military base doing close to South Africa? What is American military base doing in Niger? What is France military base doing in Niger? What about Kenya? What is American base doing there? Are these countries America? And he continued to ask, can America allow Nigeria to establish a military base in America? America have their own problem. They have their own insecurity problem. But this colonial prognosing must stop. And it is time that Africans must wake up. It's either we fight it now or we leave it forever. It is either now or never. That is why it is important for us to support and listen to most Pan-Africanists that are speaking of, that are trying to liberate Africans from what we have been going through. Because most of these countries don't respect us. They don't respect our passport. They will not respect our vote at the United Nations. Just imagine if the whole African just votes. Maybe they voted for a resolution against something. Only American vote, one country can neutralize the whole African vote. There are so many things that we will not bear any longer. And the time to emancipate Africa has come. It's either now or never. Listen to Julius Malema as he speaks.
The problem is solved by sending soldiers. Where have you ever seen soldiers solving a problem? Soldiers don't solve a problem. The leadership must meet and discuss and come up with a binding decision. That's why we say we need one legislature, one military, one currency, one president, so that we know when we go into Mozambique, it's not an interference, it's us providing a solution to our own problems. What peace did NATO take to Libya? Look at what you did to Libya to date. Because you are going after one man, you destroy the whole country. So if it brought peace in Norway, it has not brought peace in Africa. And our experience with NATO is not what you have experienced. And therefore, we respectfully disagree with that. We need to strengthen AU, give it more teeth to bite. The decisions of the AU must be taken and they must be firmly implemented by countries of Africa if we are going to say this is a serious continental body. You know, this thing of territorial threats, we know them here. We've got an army base here in Botswana. What is America doing here in Botswana? Why is Africa not in American borders? What do you call that? And you come and say imperialism and colonialism is finished. When people expand their territorial expansion through putting military bases at our borders. There is a military base here. A study has been conducted that a fighter jet that moves from that army base to the Union building will not take less than 2 minutes to bomb the Union building. If a war is declared with America, America does not have to assemble any resource from Washington or anywhere else to come here. They are already here. What do you call that? It's democracy. It's free wealth. We must celebrate that and say, no, imperialism is no longer there, it's in our head. We understand what Putin is fighting against because we have it here. Here. What is it doing here? We never went to Asia. We never went to Europe. We never went to America. We are here. We don't establish bases anywhere. Why should you establish bases, military bases in our continent? And when we speak, is called old-fashioned politics. That they are out of fashion. There's no such a thing as imperialism. When imperialism is breathing on our neck, we're not going to allow that. We are going to expose that American military base here all the time in the platforms we get and educate our people that this is exactly what Putin is fighting against. America will not allow that. That Russia must go and establish a military base in Cuba with missiles facing the USA. They won't allow that. So we must not be allowed, we must not be asked to accept the things that you will not accept if they were to happen in your countries. And that's what we're talking about when we speak about NATO and peace not going together. The same thing with the European Union. Don't say, what are we going to ask from you? That's a big brother mentality. What are you going to ask from us? Yes, don't say, why should it be us who are asking? We're not asking for anything. We're fine. So let's relate as equals, not as a beggar and the big brother supplier. No. We will relate with the European Union. It's a necessary body. We'll relate with it. We'll respect it. And the respect must be mutual. And we'll engage on what is in the interest of our countries, not what is in the interest of the European Union. We're in a mess now. We've decommissioned our power stations because countries like the USA, like the UK have said to us, no, do away with these things. We are going to introduce green energy. Here's the money and all of that. People took the money. There is no electricity today. So we ought to relate as equals so that no one imposes their ideas on us. We are people that subscribe to superior logic. Anything that is scientific, anything that has been proven, anything that makes sense, we'll agree with it. It doesn't matter whether it comes from European Union or it comes from BRICS or it comes from China or Russia. No, we will not agree with anything that seeks to belittle us and make us look like we are beggars in this kind of a relationship. So that's the same with AGOA. You can't use AGOA to threaten us in terms of our sovereignty and our foreign policy. That if you are going to bring Putin here and not defy, will do away with AGOA. You can do away with AGOA. We remain with our sovereignty. Should you strip us of our dignity because we are desperately looking for AGOA? That our foreign policy is now determined somewhere else. Which nation can be proud of that? That our foreign policy is determined somewhere because we are beneficiaries of AGOA. It can't be correct. Let's trade and have those benefits of AGOA out of mutual understanding and respect for each other's sovereignty and foreign policy. Not that today, because we don't agree on Putin, you must withdraw the whole thing. That is puppeting, that is belittling, that is making us look like we are beggars. But let's remain with our dignity. Let's be beggars with dignity, not stripped of dignity and thinking that you are what you are not. You can't even make your own foreign policy determinations because AGOA will be taken away. We are spreading the wings of the EFF. We have EFF in Liberia, we have EFF in Lesotho, we have EFF in Namibia, we have EFF in Zimbabwe. We are a young organization in terms of age, but already we are finding an expression in other African countries because we are trying to take this spirit into other African countries. We need to strengthen AU, give it more teeth to bite. The decisions of the AU must be taken and they must be firmly implemented by countries of Africa if we are going to say this is a serious continental. The crossing of Africans into Europe and other countries is exactly based on what I said, the mismanagement of our countries. Because we're not poor. We should be providing solutions. We are a typical example of how resourced we are. That's why you see other nations have left their countries to come and colonize us. We never went to colonize anyone. They came looking for our resources. So if people can leave their countries to come and colonize us here, it should be an evidence enough that we are resourced enough, and therefore we should use that resource for the benefit of Africans and not the other way around. There is a reluctance because to create a formidable thing like an African government, because everybody benefits from these little cocoons. You are called a president of Swaziland, prime minister or something. But your country is not bigger than Soweto. What is that? Then it means Soweto must be a country also. So, but because they benefit from that, they don't even want to engage in this discussion. Because it's an individuals who benefit from it. That's why there's no concrete plan to go into it, and there's no a single president that leads this discussion and put it firmly on the agenda of the AU. That the original thought of the AU as OAU, it was to establish, the founding fathers wanted to establish a solid government. And they got defeated in that discussion. But the intention has always been to create a solid government from its inception. That we should come together and be one. And something came out of it, and it never went back to what it was supposed to be, a government, a united government of Africa. And that's what we'll advocate for ourselves as the EFF. Africa Free Trade is a movement in the right direction. But the first thing we need to do, which the AU must firmly resolve, is to do away with the visa for Africans. There should not be a visa for Africans. The same way the Europeans have one visa, they travel everywhere, they are one thing. What they have, they don't want us to have it. There shouldn't be a visa in Africa. Free movement of people should be allowed. And there's no one who's going to leave Nigeria to come and settle here. It's not true, that thing. It's a myth. I mean, I come from a province called Limpopo. We don't need visa to go to Johannesburg. But people are still there in Limpopo. They've not left Limpopo to Johannesburg. So doing away with visa doesn't mean automatically people are going to leave their homes to where the economy is prospering. It's not true. Johannesburg, Gauteng is doing much better than Limpopo. But the people are not leaving Limpopo to Gauteng. So why would people leave Lagos to here? For what? It's their home. They will come here, look for what they are looking for, and take it back where they come from. We'll go to Lagos to do the same and come back home. We have a problem here of unemployment of South Africans who are told by the previous apartheid mentality and colonialism, brainwashed, that South Africa is superior, is better. They've got the best qualifications. They never go out of the country to go and look for jobs in other countries. Why? Why? Why are they not going all out of Africa? We have nurses, we've got, now we're told doctors, we now have teachers, we have this. Africa is in need of that skill. You going to work anywhere in Africa, in Ghana, it doesn't mean you left your home. It's the same as me leaving Limpopo to come here. When the time permits, I go back home. So what is the problem? Let's go. They need to go. The continent, it's our home. We must all go there and become one thing. Once we do away with the visa, we are going to know each other. The reason why we are scared is because we don't know each other. We know each other through the lenses of our enemies. We don't know each other. So we must first know each other if we're going to build the government of Africa. So it's important that we engage in this thing. Free movement of people and goods, it will help us appreciate the existence of each other and bring us more closer for the unity of this continent. Well, African Union is it's a meeting of friends who don't even call each other to order. They can meet with a dictator who has just, killed his own people and then meet for the whole week and not even mention it. So we can't allow the African Union to continue to work the way it is working. We're talking here about SADC. We have a problem here in Zimbabwe. These members of SADC don't call the government of Zimbabwe to order because it's a group of brothers. That government is violating people there. It has just passed a law of gatherings and speeches and all of that. If they don't like you, you're having a political rally, they just send soldiers, they shoot at you and all of... No one in SADC has raised his voice to say, but what is this? So we cannot have these regional bodies and the continental body, including Pan-African Parliament, by the way, which are not biting on countries that are engaged in wrong activities. What is wrong with President Ramaphosa calling President Mnangagwa to order? It will be coming from a good place. They are all brothers, they are all Africans, they all speak, we assume, for the interest of Africans. So we can't have a situation where we've got regional bodies, continental bodies that become a meeting of elite without concrete solutions to the problems confronting the people of Africa. We have a problem in Mozambique. The problem is solved by sending soldiers. Where have you ever seen soldiers solving a problem? Soldiers don't solve a problem. The leadership must meet and discuss and come up with a binding decision. That's why we say we need one legislature, one military, one currency, one president, so that we know when we go into Mozambique, it's not an interference, it's us providing a solution to our own problems. So we are not happy with how these things are structured. Look, economic integration, trading partners, developmental concepts, we embrace all of that, but it doesn't mean we're ideologically naive. We're not ideologically naive, we're political. And therefore, if we were to trade with the USA or to trade with the UK, we trade from a perspective of knowing that we don't share the same ideologies. When you approach them, you know these ones are brutal. I must not sleep on the job. They are not friends. We are not born alone. We are born with people. That's what friends are for. And to have friends that are aligned with you ideologically is nothing wrong. It's not an old-fashioned thing. It's actually apolitical to want to approach politics without ideological orientation. From which ground do you move from? What informs your perspective as a person who is a political animal? It's important always to have our sharing ideological perspective with China. It doesn't mean you can't get a foreign direct investment from Norway or from UK or from Germany. No. You always relate with all countries. Foreign direct investment is more than welcome, but on our terms. Not on Germany's terms. No. We have been giving Germany a lot of money here in South Africa for assembling cars. Not for building cars, for assembling cars. Why is Germany not building those cars here? And create jobs here? In South Africa, we have a problem of unemployment here. Germany will not have a problem. It needs leadership that is decisive, that is going to say, look, we're going to meet you halfway, but you have to meet us halfway. Assembling is not enough. Let's start it here and build it here. So, and Germany's investment under the EFF government is not threatened at all. The same as any other investment. But we are going to renegotiate the deals. And they must be to the interest of Africans. Botswana did it now, where the BS just wanted to change a diamond deal, and all of Botswana said it's not going to happen. You are going to trade here and do diamond here on our terms. Botswana screamed, the BS screamed, kicked, did all manner of things. If this thing is not signed by when we leave, they said you can go. But yeah, we are going to sign the deal on our terms. The BS went back and signed. So that's leadership. Investors want to know what is your position on this matter, so that they can navigate around it and see if they can still make profit out of it. They are not interested in you or in anything. They are interested in politics. That's why they mine blood diamond. They know people are being killed there. This diamond comes from where people are being killed. They still take it. Why do they want to behave like a holy cows and want to punish people for political ideas, yet they don't punish people who are killing each other for diamonds? They go there and still buy blood diamonds. So be clear, then they will come and invest. Even on the land question, we've got special development zones, economic zones here in South Africa, where multinational companies have invested a lot of money on the land they don't own. It's owned by the state. Special industrial zones, special economic zones in South Africa where multinational companies have put billions of rands. They don't own that land. So what is the obsession with the ownership of the land? Why do you say when people own, when you state own the land, the multinational companies want to invest because there is no guarantee? No, you give them the guarantee that from this period to this period, this is yours, these are the benefits, these are the incentives, this is what is going to happen. Please invest here. They will invest. They have done it now under this government. Why do you say when people don't own the land, there won't be investment? There is a huge development that happened right in front of us. You said, one of you said, was here for 9 years. I think he's a dean of diplomatic corps. There's a huge development here in Midrand where there is Mall of Africa. That land, that big development you see there, that land is owned by an Indian family. When you buy property there, there are no transfer costs. No one owns. They are on a lease of 100 years, those people. Yet they still buy there. Black, white, Indians, everyone buys in a place where they don't own the land. A land is owned by an individual family. There's a huge mall invested there in the land they don't own. People are not looking for those things of ownership of the land. They just want a land tenure guarantee that from this period to this period, this is yours. They calculate, they say we'll make a profit, then that's fine. Let's go. That's how business works. Who said people fall in love with land? There's no one who falls in love with land. No one falls in love with diamond or gold. They fall in love with money. Anything that can give them money, they will go and invest in it. Socialism didn't work in Germany, and you are going to tell us how it failed. But go and also learn from China how socialism works, and it has succeeded in China. It doesn't mean if it has failed in Germany, it will fail everywhere else. We're not Germans, we're South Africans. In China, they've got socialism with Chinese characteristics. What stops South Africans from having socialism with South African characteristics? Learning from Germany what worked, what did not work. Take the good things, leave the bad things. Why capitalism always resort to Chinese principles, to socialist principles, every time they get into trouble? When the banks failed in 2008 and put the world into a financial crisis, it was socialist principles that took the world out of that crisis through state intervention. Where was capital at that time? If we go now, we're in Pretoria now, let's go to commercial crimes or go to liquidation or high court and all of that. Every day without fail, there are private companies that are being liquidated there. Who said if it's capitalist owned or private owned, it's inherently successful? Who said that? So it's an ideological debate we can have. We know what happened in Eastern Germany. We know what happened in the Soviet Union. We know what's happening in China. We know what's happening in Cuba. So we can have a deeper discussion about whether this is really a way out. We sometimes get fixated on concepts, but in reality, you do the things that you say you don't want to do. Every time capital gets into problems, the state must intervene. Every time. That's when you now see the importance of socialist principles. Coalitions in South Africa will work. You know, this thing is a new thing to us. We don't know it. And we're learning on the job. We're learning on the job. So please be patient with us. We have succeeded so far. No municipality has actually completely collapsed to a point of having to be resuscitated by an upper government under coalition. So it's a new thing. We're learning on the job and we'll get it right. The problem is not coalitions. The problem is the ANC and the DA. They are so used to power. And when they now get out of power into a coalition, they still want to behave like they are in power. Coalition means power sharing. You must let go. Don't behave like you still have power when you don't have power. You must share. And who will make the best a coalition partner, because we have never been in power, so we don't know power. Maybe the first power we're going to experience is through coalition, and it will be the first experience. But those who are used to controlling power, when it shifts, they are still in denial, and they want to behave like they still have power. And it leads into the problems we see in the coalitions. At the center of a problem is the ANC. It has been in power for too long. When it gets removed into a coalition, it is in denial. Same thing as the DA, that suffers from white supremacy. That in coalition with black people, a white person must lead. That white supremacist mentality is what causes problems for us in coalitions. But otherwise, coalitions will work. And coalitions are the best thing for me. I think we deserve that. Where no one has got an absolute majority. We all govern through consensus. And we look at what is in the best interest of our people. Because too much power corrupts. And that's what we have experienced since 1994. Business has no choice. We're the only organization that is very clear of what we want. And therefore, business in dealing with the EFF, they know what they are dealing with. Policy position is very clear. And we're happy with the response yesterday. It was overwhelming. We really enjoyed ourselves. And the kind of support we received from the South African business yesterday was really welcomed. Black, white, Indians, Africans, coloreds, all manner of business, men and women were there to support the EFF. And that's what made the rally possible tomorrow, because of the support of these business people who are not scared of the establishment. Ukraine peaceful solution is that Ukraine must not join NATO. That's the solution. So that we protect the territory. I mean, Russia doesn't feel threatened. It's as simple as that. And I sympathize with you, and I like the fact that you like dialogue, and I like dialogue. We can engage about that because NATO is not a very peaceful organization. You can't talk peace and NATO in one sentence. It's not true what you are saying. Because I agree with you that elections are coming and South Africa must play an important role. There's a problem in Zimbabwe. There's a big problem in Zimbabwe where the rights of citizens are being violated openly and no one is saying anything about it, including South Africa. Elections get stolen daylight by the army. For sure they have the results by now. Me and you are still talking about elections. They are done. They have the results. Those things, that's a formality. Well, it can't be correct that ZANU-PF holds the people of Zimbabwe hostage. If it means ZANU-PF must lose elections for it to go and self-correct, so be it. But let the people, the voice of the people of Zimbabwe be respected. It can't be a win-win-win at all costs. In the EFF, we believe strongly that Chamisa won the last elections. And he was undermined by violence that was unleashed on citizens of Zimbabwe. But is the sanctions solution? No. No. The Zimbabweans are suffering as we speak. You know how you negotiate the best terms as business and as countries. Zimbabwe should be open to you to go and invest there, but negotiate the best deals and conditions of such investment. No sanctions must stop you from going to invest in Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans are struggling, and the world must go and help Zimbabweans. So, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't mean enmity. We're not enemies. We engage robustly. Our policies can be challenged the same way we challenge your policies. We are open for engagement. South Africa is open for investment.